afternoon garage. So by request, one of my subscribers asked me to do a video on a tune-up. So I figured I'd do a little research into that. Now there's a maintenance schedule for this vehicle. You know, it kind of tells what we should do for the first 5,000 miles, 10,000 miles, 25, 50, and so on. You know, my vehicle now has 177,000 miles on it and has pretty good maintenance history. But I can guarantee not everything's been done. So if you look at what exactly is required for a tune-up, it's not a whole lot these days. You know, back in the old days, you used to have a cap and a rotor. You know, if you get a little older, you have points in there that, you know, kind of have to be adjusted. And, of course, spark plugs and wires and PCV and an air filter. That's usually what was required. But now with these new cars, such as this Solstice I'm going to be working on, well, there's really not that much to do. So when you talk about a tune-up, you're talking about air filter and spark plugs, and that's it. This should be pretty easy and should get pretty good results right out of the gate. One thing I really kind of want to talk about before I start is these spark plugs. So I got the original equipment iridium spark plugs. There's a lot of people online that'll disagree with what you're supposed to do with these things. Now back in the old days, you would typically have a standard copper plug and you'd take a feeler gauge and adjust the plug, because you never knew if this was banged around and maybe the ground was bent, you know, so you want to make sure you get the gap correctly. The general consensus online seems to be, if it looks okay, it probably is okay. This iridium tip is really, really small and thin. So if you stick a feeler gauge in there, you really risk damaging the center electrode. You definitely don't want to do that. So I'm just going to stick these in as is, a little bit of anti-seize, change the air filter, and that's about it for a tune-up. After we're done, see if I can notice a difference in how it runs. I can see down here I got lots of debris in here, a bunch of tree stuff. It's like I got some nuts. Not sure why. So I think I'm going to just plug up the intake and blow some air through here. Anytime you get done changing plugs, you want to take them out and inspect them. So what you want to look at is you want to look at the porcelain up here. You want to look at how much oil is on, maybe you have some deposits on here. This one looks pretty good. This is from cylinder number 1. Looks like you had a little rust down here. Could be caused from some moisture. Really doesn't look that bad. This one here says for cylinder number 3, and you have the same kind of rust issue from a little bit of moisture. I don't really see any carbon here. I do see some black marks here, but it's probably nothing. Then the electrode looks pretty good. Does look like a whole lot of carbon buildup on there. Cylinder 3 looks like it's in good health. This is from cylinder number 4. You have something kind of strange right there maybe to look at, but likely it's probably nothing. And then the electrode looks pretty good. Not a lot of carbon built up there, and it's about the right color. This one here is from cylinder number 2. So you know that looks a little bit different than every one of the rest of them. I think what we want to do is we'll put this under a microscope and actually look at it. You know, the electrode looks a little dark too compared to the rest of them. If you look at some of these, it's not quite as dark as this one is. Maybe some unburnt fuel down in there, something like that. You know, and certainly some arcing might cause this. Okay, these are the two I want to look at here. So you can see this is number 4 here. There was a spot right there. Yeah, that doesn't really look too bad. Looks like maybe something was blowing past the porcelain there. Maybe a breach in the seal or something. Probably nothing to worry about. This here is from number 2. Well, you can barely read that number. And boy, you can see all kinds of strange stuff. Now that looks like carbon tracking to me. You can see it kind of looks like lightning bolts. Yeah, that's not very good. So you can see, oh yeah, there you go. There's actually a deposit right there. Yeah, it might be worth looking at the number 2 coil on plug there. I'm going to leave it alone unless I have a drivability problem or it sets a check engine light. Well, that wasn't too bad just for a basic tune-up. Probably lots of other things you could do. Look at that maintenance schedule and kind of tell you some things that you can do to maintain. Maybe there's some grease fittings in the suspension or something like that. But really, there's really not much involved in today's modern engines. You know, this air filter didn't show much wear. I got some nuts out of the deal. And definitely want to use some anti-seize. Whenever you have two dissimilar metals, like you have a steel thread and an aluminum casting, you want to use anti-seize in there because what happens is they expand and contract at different rates and it stops galling. Not only that, makes the screw a lot easier to put in. But there's more content to come.